Good morning.
I'm Bridget.
And I'm Wendy.
And this is
Flickin'
Flickin' Beans.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Full disclosure, it's not morning.
It is not.
It's afternoon. We went to brunch, and I have been drinking since then. So, this could be interesting. I had a mimosa flight, got a pretty good buzz at brunch. It was like noon. And then I was like, if I don't keep drinking, then I'm going to go to sleep, and I may be hungover. So, here we are.
Here we are.
Hopefully, it's an addition, not a subtraction.
Oh, we've recorded drunk before.
Yeah.
Or not? No, we haven't.
Well,
We've been drinking.
I was pretty drunk when I recorded the one with Cooper, but it didn't seem like it on the recording, so I'm glad.
Okay, then. We have a super treat. It is Stalker movies. Yes. We got The Cable Guy, and we have 1 hour photo. Everybody knows about The Cable Guy. Jim Carrey and Matthew Broderick.
I had forgotten it was Matthew Broderick, though. I saw this movie like when it came out, and I remembered it was a Jim Carrey movie, not a Matthew Broderick movie.
Well, there was probably a reason. Jim Carrey was paid $20 million. Broderick was paid $2 million.
Okay, well, this was peak Jim Carrey time. Have you heard his manifestation story that he tells in interviews?
No.
So when he was first living in LA, trying to become an actor, he's very poor, and he would just go drive up Mulholland Drive and think about that he lived there. And then he wrote himself a check for $10 million and just kept it in his wallet. And that's what he made on his first Ace Ventura movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Post Ace Ventura and The Mask, I guess.
I noticed a nod to The Mask in this movie when he strikes that dance pose.
Oh.
Yeah, one arm above his head and one arm below. You wanted the ruffle sleeves right then.
Yeah. Have you ever watched the show Dave with Little Dicky in it? It's on Hulu, and Little Dicky's this Jewish rapper, and he does a nod to The Mask and goes viral in this clip where he goes into a library dressed as The Mask.
Oh, God.
And goes, "Somebody suck me," and then he becomes known as the "Somebody Suck Me" guy.
Wow.
So full circle back to
well, that's
creepy.
Kind of weird of someone to do.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking when you said manifesting, isn't it neat when someone believes in themselves?
Right? Yeah, I saw a clip of that famous American rugby player kind of become like a name for herself on social media. And in an interview, she was asked, how does she combat imposter syndrome by another female reporter? And she was like, I don't think I have that. And I was like, what's that like?
Right? Oh my.
And I'm like, wow, but that would be a great place to live where you didn't have that. Maybe that's a generational thing. She's younger. They've been a little bit fed the idea that being unique is okay and all. Well, honestly, I think there's plenty of men that don't have it. I just don't think I've ever heard a woman say that.
Huh. It makes me wonder if I know any people that aren't a little fucked up in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Aren't we all? I thought so.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, you always think until you probe further that you're the only one who thinks or feels this way or that way. Yeah, I'm not sure I know anyone that doesn't have any issues.
I don't.
It's human.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
The Cable Guy wasn't technically well-liked movie.
I didn't love it. I didn't remember liking it the first time I saw it either. I think because, again, like at that time I was expecting an Ace Ventura kind of vibe, and that it's not that kind of movie at all.
Right.
It's more of like a horror film kind of, or
Thriller.
a dark comedy thriller. Yeah.
Tense, psychological thriller.
Yeah.
I could almost say that word. Psychological. I also saw a nod to Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
In the shower?
In the shower.
Yes. It was exactly the same. Pouring that shampoo way too much in his hand. And anyway.
And yeah, that moment is so relatable. Waiting for the cable guy or the internet guy or whatever service guy to show up in his 8-hour window. And you're like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to try and take a shower. He's probably not going to show up. They will show up as soon as you're doing something else.
Question.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about this at the time. Well, until question is, if Jim Carrey had been fired from the cable company, how did he still have a cable van? How did he know that a customer had placed an order and show up at his apartment?
I don't know.
I don't think we're supposed to ask.
No.
Okay.
I actually didn't think about that either. I had just assumed that he stole something like a database or something like that. But that wouldn't have more up-to-date service calls.
I don't see him doing that. In that character doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just,
Yeah.
one of those sticking points I can't. I do like that they showed Chip's backstory, obviously. And for anyone who knows a shit ton about movies from that era, there are so many. Everything's a movie reference.
Mm.
Everything, even the nipple on the glass,
Yeah.
is a movie reference.
What is that from?
I don't recall.
Okay.
But a lot of the movies that they call back to, I hadn't seen a lot of them. You know, maybe I'd heard the title, but I definitely hadn't seen the movie.
Yeah, that's an interesting delusion to have, and I think probably a common one. I would imagine if you're prone to like mania and delusion, like it would be so easy to get pulled into television being reality, and now like social media, right?
And it was his babysitter.
Yeah.
And that happened a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Mom, I thought you were going to give me a baby brother."
Yeah. She's like, well, I'm trying.
What did she say? Well, Mommy's going to happy hour so she can try.
Exactly.
That is so gross.
Gross, but like also...
It's like, it's 5 p.m. I need to get laid and impregnated.
Oh. That's what I set my timers for.
Right? 5 p.m. Maybe for
It's
old
5
people.
o'clock somewhere.
Maybe for old people it's 4:30. Speaking of the television as a babysitter, later on when he says, "I learned the facts of life from the facts of life." Didn't we all?
I never saw that show.
What?
I've never seen it. It wasn't on the air when I was alive.
Do you at least know the song?
Yeah. The facts of life. The facts of life. Something like that.
No.
No? Step by step. Ooh, baby. Oh, wait. No, Kids on the Block.
Oh, my God. It is really more from my era than yours. Yeah. So, both Steven and Chip are lonely guys. We don't really know that Chip is a psychopath, but we suspect it. But Steven almost trusts him and divulges stuff that he probably shouldn't right away.
Well, and Chip was manipulative to get that information.
Definitely.
From him, too. He was definitely doing like what we now would probably call like love bombing, where you like shower with gifts and call all the time and say you're best friends and all those kinds of things. It's more of like a relationship thing, but that's what he's doing for their friendship. And it's a way to get you, it's what people do to make you feel like you're closer than you are.
He also gave really good relationship advice.
Right.
And I was turning that over in my head because he's so crazy. And then I realized, it's all from movies and TV. And that might even be where he learned how to manipulate to get that out of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And he definitely gives advice of big romantic gestures, which is something that is done on TVs and movies.
Yeah.
But not always well received in real life. A lot of times that stuff is cringy in real embarrassing.
Oh, embarrassing.
Sometimes, don't you think?
Like what? I don't think I've ever had a big romantic gesture.
I've never had a big romantic gesture and like somebody did a flash mob for me or something, which I think is embarrassing.
Love a flash
Anyway,
mob.
I want to be in a flash mob. I don't want a flash mob planned for me while I have to stand there and
wait for the song to end
and react. And if you don't look happy the whole time, then you're a bitch.
It's like the instrumental breaks in karaoke.
Exactly.
What do you do? You know, wish I could juggle.
So awkward. Yeah, he definitely does pull that stuff from TV because we've learned from all the Alien movies and Outsider movies is that's how you learn to speak English and all social norms.
It's just how we talk about all these devices that are in all these movies. I did wonder why he chose Steven to stalk versus all the other people he gave free cable to.
Do you think he was doing the same thing to them, though?
He wouldn't have had time. But he did get fired for stalking. Just like we talked about grooming in the Stand By Me, you can't groom all these people at the same time. So you probably can only stalk one person at a time.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of your time.
But he also didn't really have a job, so we never see where he lives. The entertainment system.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that because not only did he give him a way too extravagant gift that he never asked for. I mean, you don't ask for gifts, but it was obviously way over the top. But, you know, he broke into his house to do it.
Right.
That shit had to take all day. So I was going to ask you, have you ever had someone like a roommate invade your space without asking? I have.
Not in a serious way, no.
You tell me what you think of this. I lived in a house with 3 other people, and my roommate showed me a pattern for a dress. Can you sew this for me? And I was like, maybe. I don't want to, but but I looked at it and I said, oh, I have a dress kind of like this. And she said, oh, I know, I tried it on. Right?
That's too much.
I think so.
Yeah.
I had really just moved in and I didn't even have a closet. I had a wheelie rack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too far. That would be weird.
It was.
At the core of both of these movies, really, you're kind of sorry for the stalker because it's loneliness.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about like how many things could be fixed if we fixed loneliness. Like not only does it cause people to do things like this where they're like stalking, and I think both of the characters really had like good intentions at heart. They thought they were doing the right thing. They were just like really misguided on what they thought was right. But things like sexual assault, school shootings, all these things where people feel misunderstood or lonely. Like if we could find a way to be better about that, I think it would fix a lot of other things.
Social media doesn't help either. Here we are completely connected, but not.
Right.
Not with each other on a real level. Face-to-face level. Can we talk about the medieval times restaurant?
Have you ever done one of those?
Hell no.
Oh, I have, and it's fun.
I would.
Yeah.
Especially if I had Janine Garofalo as my waitress.
Right.
Did you notice her anarchy tattoo?
No.
Right on her chest. It was very cute. She could give a shit, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they didn't have utensils in medieval times, so we don't have them here. Would you like some more Pepsi?
Right. Fun fact, Matthew Broderick is allergic to horses.
Uh-oh.
He said all during those fight scenes, he was trying really hard not to sneeze. All the fight scenes were so intense. When Jim Carrey, Chip, beats up Owen Wilson in the bathroom, basically pretends to be the bathroom attendant. Again, thinking he's doing something good for his friend.
Yes.
And it's so misguided. No one needed that. She didn't like him anyway. It wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Yeah, the date was going poorly anyway. He could have just let it play out.
I've met some douchebags like that. Oh.
There's a point where he just goes like, you're sexy, you know?
Yeah. Listen, somebody told me that the other day.
I was going to say, I think most women have probably had something like that said to them. And you're just like, I don't know how to respond to that. If you tell me like I look nice, that's a compliment. But like it's our first date and you're saying that. First of all, I'm like, I feel icky about it. I do want to be sexy to a person. But when you say that, it's like the opposite. It's like, it's too much.
Sexy belongs in a relationship.
Yeah, agreed.
First date in a nice restaurant. Speaking of, when was the last time a date took you to a nice restaurant?
Well, I've been with Joel for 10 years. So we go on dates, but like a real fancy place, not in a while, I suppose.
Just any place.
Yeah.
Guys just don't do that.
Do they? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm waiting for that dinner invitation.
Like I said, I've been out of the game for a long time.
As was I.
But it seems like it's a different experience, you know. In the last decade, it's changed. The rules have changed. And there's a lot of more casualness about everything, right?
Think of this. I was last single in 94. up to 2024, it's extremely different. I think I said before there was no cell phones, no manscaping, and no free porn.
Yeah.
People act differently based on what they're exposed to. Anyway, so the medieval times, I was saying the fight scene was just intense. How is that funny? Was Jim Carrey really trying to hurt him? And how does that play into his desire to be friends? When Jim Carrey says, "Can I have your skin?"
Oh, yeah.
Sit on his face and then does that Hannibal Lecter, Clarice. That was improvised.
I believe it.
Ah! I
Yeah.
thought that was so funny.
Jim Carrey does a lot of really interesting physical humor. Like,
Yeah.
he really is kind of one of the icons of that. And one of the things I noticed that was like so funny and so simple was the way that he held the remote. When he was like setting up, instead of holding it like most people do, he held it a camera, I guess, by his face and was playing it like a trumpet almost.
Oh,
And I would have never thought of that.
that's a nice touch.
And it's just shows a little bit more about that character and like how weird they are and how they just do things like a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's pop the cherry on that karaoke machine. When he said that, I just figured it was going to be him hanging out with Steven.
Yeah, just each other.
No, it was a whole shit ton of old people and one hooker.
Yeah. It was, all his VIP customers, which means people he's hooked up with free cable, which I guess until Steven was senior citizens.
The whole idea that he paid this woman to come and flirt with, have sex with, whatever, Matthew Broderick's character, and then barged in with a Polaroid and half the people from the party to take a picture that he knew he was going to use later for leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
to
like,
blackmail
this is
him.
something I can use later. He knew it. Even if he didn't have the moment, that was definitely premeditated to get something on him so he could control him.
And then in the morning, he's wearing his clothes. He's making scramby eggs. I'm calling him that from now on.
Scramby eggs.
Scramby eggs.
I had some scramby eggs today.
He makes the comment that she doesn't have any diseases because he tried her out a week before.
And he's like, I'm healthy as a horse.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Now they're Eskimo brothers.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Let's talk about Chip showing up at Steven's house and winning over his parents and then talking everybody into playing porno password.
Oh, so uncomfortable.
I'd play it though. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I think I would play that with my parents, but I think I have a different relationship with my parents.
You sure do. Yeah,
than a
you
lot of
do.
people have. But yeah, it's still kind of cringy to say things like foreskin in front of your parents, you know?
I guess Cards Against Humanity is pretty close.
Yes, and we play that a lot. But I also was so angry at Chip's dinner speech when he was making it seem like Steven was the one that was making their fight at medieval times all violent. But if you like try to refute it in that moment, everyone's going to think that you're lying.
Yep.
No
Gaslighting.
Yeah. And he's just like talking about that. And so it's just like, oh, whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Let them believe what they want. But once somebody else has kind of said it, then it becomes like you're trying to defend it, even though it's the truth.
When he gets Steven fired from his job, and then you're like, oh my God, he's been spying and videotaping? What, like through the receiver? Holy shit, what else has he got footage of? And that was so damaging. You know, I hate my boss and his hair plugs.
Right.
Wow, and the whole office sees it. Oh, why you want to just ruin somebody's life?
Yeah, that was really bad. We all know that we've said that shit about a boss in the past. Had to lose your job over it. That's dumb. Everybody talks shit about their boss.
It is kind of a movie trope, though, that you, quote, accidentally send out a damning email to the entire office.
Yes.
That never happens. I had forgotten a lot of this. I thought he died at the end, but he didn't. So he's going to go on to do again and again. But I had forgotten that he lost his lisp.
Well, he hit him again and then it was back. Yeah, that part I had a tough time. Well, I guess he was doing revenge at that point. It was just another means to control him. So if he's like, well, he's lost his girlfriend, his job, now all he has is me, I guess. But the other things seem to be a little bit more altruistic. Like that really clearly a manipulative.
Woo-woo! Coffee break. Let's talk about our beans.
Hey Bean Flickers, have you followed us yet? We are on Instagram and Facebook at Flickin' Beans Pod. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave us a review.
He even won over his girlfriend. Big hugs, lunches. I mean, yeah, that's some working in the background.
For me, if one of Joel's friends all of a sudden was like, you want to go to lunch? I would be like, no.
Yeah.
Not by ourselves.
No,
that's fucking weird.
No, yeah, you don't do that. In the background of the whole movie, there's a trial going on that is pretty much the Lyle and Eric Menendez trial.
I thought that too. I was going to bring that up. That
Ben Stiller looks so much like Eric, and that was on purpose. I think that final message was, TV's bad for you, because just when everyone is on the edge of their seat waiting for this verdict, all the cable shuts out. So all the cable cuts out. Nobody gets to know guilty or innocent. And it's like a collective gasp. But then you see, why is Kyle Gass there? Is he just a random dude in his house? He sits there and he's like, huh. And he picks up a book and he's smiling and he's reading. Must be a funny book.
I think maybe Jack Black just has in his contract
that Kyle's always there?
Yeah, Kyle's got to be in his project somewhere.
I have a fun fact. Do you remember the Ben Stiller show?
Vaguely. I think I have seen it, though, yeah.
Everyone from the Ben Stiller show was in this movie at some point.
Okay.
Pretty much. Ben Stiller was offered the Jim Carrey role, but I don't remember if he turned it down or if they just went that other direction. Or if they just said, let's just spend a lot more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on the Cable Guy? I don't hate it, but it's icky.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable movie. It's not on my list of favorite movies that we've watched. I mean, sometimes those give us more to talk about.
Moving on. 1 Hour Photo, starring Robin Williams as the least Robin Williams you've ever seen.
Yeah, I would agree. As Mr. Parrish.
He had to bleach his hair. The only other time he did that was for Popeye. He also had to shave his arms.
Yeah, he's furry.
So hairy.
Yeah.
He's got hair knuckles.
Why is he so much creepier with the blonde hair? That was a good move because it really did work in his favor. I don't know if it made him a little more meek. Yeah.
Seeming.
I'm trying to think. Monochromatic is the word I'm trying to think.
For real.
Like fade into the background.
I hear that.
Thing. Yeah.
I'm going to agree. Does say he had to shave most of his arms, upper chest, and hands.
Yeah.
He's a sad man, works in like a Walmart developing photos and is obsessed with this one particular family. Why? Because they seem just idyllic.
They're very attractive, I think. Probably he initially was attracted to the mom and they have what he wants, a family and a nice house. And yeah, he's a very, very sad character. And I feel bad for him because you just, especially some of the things that he says later on, that he had a traumatic childhood and he's never really felt love.
It's hinted that his dad exploited him for child porn.
Oh, right. The picture.
His father made him do sick, disgusting things that no kid should ever have to do.
Yeah, that's right. He does a lot of really fucked up things, but I definitely have more sympathy for him than I did for the Jim Carrey character. Jim Carrey's, a lot of the stuff that he was doing was more manipulative. Not that Cy wasn't, but he really thought he was doing the right thing, I think, most of the time.
In his head, he felt like he was a part of their family. He loved them, and he barely knew them.
Yeah.
But he had been making a separate set of copies for himself ever since they first started coming in. And that's a little beyond creepy.
Yeah, that's really weird. There's a really good cinematic shot when they first reveal that photo wall that he has in his apartment. He's like sitting there watching TV, pretty normal, and it just very slowly like spans and just keeps getting bigger, and the wall just keeps getting bigger, and there's just more and more photos. You feel very uncomfortable by it.
Yeah, every time in a stalker movie, there is always a wall of photos. No one knows you have.
Right.
I think there was something like 800 photos. Something
it was
like a lot of photos. He's got nothing in his life. A table, a chair, a TV, and a seat.
Yep.
That's sad. Did they ever hint at him having anyone in his life? God, that's sad. I'm telling you, childhood fucks you up.
I really feel like Sai could have been a more normal person if at some point he had found somebody that could just show him that he was worthy of love. So often when you don't get those social skills presented to you, shown to you, you don't really know how to do that. You know how to make friends or how to be nice to people, and then that just pushes people away and you're lonelier, and then you get weirder the less time you spend with people, right?
Yeah.
We all know that when we started working from home.
Yeah. Jim Carrey and the television is a lot like Psy and the photos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of this fantasy that he's within that realm.
Does he ever say what happens to his mother? Because he buys a photo at a garage sale or something and then later says it's his mother.
Aww.
And presents it to the wife of the family that he's stalking. It's not. It's something he bought. It's not his mother. So
weird.
He hints that, well, either there's like no photos of his life otherwise. Like,
who would take a picture?
Yeah, who would take a picture of him?
There weren't selfies then.
Right. And he says a line that something like that somebody cared enough to take a picture of you. That's what it means to him. And that's really what he is missing, like that nobody cared enough to do that.
And no one takes a picture of something they don't want to remember.
A lot of this made me think of social media because this was right before that really took off, 2002. So we didn't have smartphones really yet. iPhone came out in like 2008. You know, we didn't have social media yet. That won't be like another 5 to 10 years till that really takes off. When the people are coming in one by one and he knows all about them because he's looked at their photo. The lady who only takes pictures of her cats, that's somebody's Instagram. Guy that makes amateur porn, that's on the internet. All the other things, social media feed now.
The cast and crew brought in actual pictures of their cats.
Oh, yeah?
Because they thought it would be easier to show like natural looking cat photos versus trying to pose the cats.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cute.
Yeah, that is cute.
Yeah, did you ever worry that photo booth guy was looking at your pictures?
Honestly, no. I never thought about it. But then when that guy was coming in with amateur porn, man, they really would have had to do that unless they had their own darkroom, which how many porn producers have that? I don't know.
You never know.
Maybe they have darkrooms because of porn. I feel like so many things came about because of porn, like why we have VHS or DVDs versus the other technology, right?
Doesn't everything kind of break down when Cy finds out that the husband is having an affair? How does he find that out?
Pictures. The mistress comes to get her pictures developed.
Gotcha.
Before that, though, I want to talk about when he fantasizes about breaking into their house. I think this is before he finds out about the affair. He drives by their house, breaks in, is wandering around, takes a shit, and he's like sitting on the toilet, like a big smile on his face, taking a shit. Then he sits on their couch, drinking a beer, watching football or something. They come home, and then they're like, oh, hey, Cy, and the kid calls him Uncle Cy or whatever, and then he snaps out of it. You realize he's been daydreaming. So at first I was like, who the fuck breaks into somebody's house and takes a shit? That's really fucked up. But it's even more fucked up than that because he was fantasized about breaking into their house and taking a shit. He didn't have to poop. He was fantasizing about it.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, what would be the most normal, mundane things that you would do if that were your house?
Yeah.
And he really wants that for himself. When he finds out that the husband's having the affair, it just shatters everything. You have what I want, and you don't appreciate it. But then
he rocks the boat.
He takes, like, a knife and a camera and barges in on them in the hotel room.
True. Not before he sends the photos to the wife, though. He slips the mistress's photos into the wife's envelope so that she sees them.
Sneaky.
And then follows them home, by the way.
Sneaky.
And I'm kind of, well, she's, in that state, you're in total shock or whatever, but they're pulled over like in a lane of traffic. It's weird that she doesn't notice he's there. She's learning her husband's having an affair, so she's probably not got all of her senses up.
But he
thinks he's doing the right thing.
Again, yes, just like the other movie.
Do you think that was the right thing to do?
It's complicated.
I understand the desire to want to do that. If it was somebody I really cared about, maybe, and he really thinks he cares about this person, but I don't think it was the right thing to do. Because your own relationship is your own thing.
Right.
You also don't know they have an agreement. Maybe that's fine.
You or I would not approach the problem that way. If it were a good friend, you would just tell the good friend, not in that underhanded kind of way. He's not as close to them as he thinks.
Right.
So when he goes to the hotel with the knife and the camera, he doesn't hurt them, doesn't even actually take pictures of them.
When he goes and gets his pictures back from the police, there's no pictures of the couple.
It's like lamp, dresser. Yeah. Do you think that factors into the hint at child pornography that his dad made him do? So just not taking the pictures, but making them feel shamed.
Yeah, it was the shame he was looking for sure. Because he was putting them in all those weird positions, sexual positions. And probably, he probably did have that somebody coaching him on what to do.
Yeah, otherwise how would he know? Unless, he took notes from that amateur porn guy. Robin Williams just did such a good job. You almost forget that it's him. Between the takes, Robin Williams would improvise and do comedic takes on the scenes as if it was a comedy. I can't imagine.
I'm picturing the scene where the blood comes out of his eyes, turning into a comedy somehow.
Yikes.
Have you ever had blood in your eye?
No.
I hit my head when I was little, and
that explains a lot.
Right? I still have a scar. Yeah, I bust my forehead open when I was little, and head wounds, they bleed a lot. And I remember kind of knocked me down on the ground, and then I opened my eyes, they're full of blood. They just went red, and I didn't know what that meant at the time, but now I know that I was bleeding, and it just got in my eye. Your vision actually turns red. It's really weird.
Scary.
Yeah, so that's a fun thing to end on, but that's all I got.
All right, did we do it?
I think we did it.
We flicked some beans.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.